You are listening to the Becoming the Wealthy You podcast with Jermaine Foley. If you're a woman who makes good money in your career or business, but you're not building wealth like you want to, then you're in the right place. In this podcast, you'll learn how to stop overspending, break free from the cycle of debt, save lots of cash, and become the wealthy woman you were born to be. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Jamie Bosse, and she is a certified financial planner. And I'm so excited for this conversation because I've never had a CFP on before. Of course, that stands for Certified Financial Planner. And so, Jamie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So why don't we just dive right in and you just introduce yourself to the audience and let them know what made you become a certified financial planner.
Okay. Yes. So this is my 20th year as a certified financial planner, and it's been really cool to help people figure out how to get organized around their money and make their dreams come true, get from point A to point B. I fell into this career totally by accident. When I was in college, I was going to school to be a teacher, and my parents filed for bankruptcy when I was a sophomore. And that just had my head spinning. I was like, bankruptcy? What does this mean? How did we get here? Like, how do they get out of this? Are they going to jail? What's happening? And so that prompted me to start studying finance a little bit more, just for me, just so I could get a better picture of what I was missing and what I didn't know to make my life better so I could avoid those mistakes that my parents had made. So I started taking some classes in personal financial planning, really just for me. But once I got into it, I just thought it was so interesting and like topics I'd never explored before. And then as I took 2 and 3 classes, I was like, you know what? This would be a cool career to help people navigate the world of money, because no one ever teaches you how to do it, right? Like you just learn by trial and error and what you pick up along the way. So I ended up majoring in financial planning, and I've been doing it ever since.
Oh, wow. That's such a cool story. And I agree. I'm a money coach, a financial coach. And I never thought about doing this until I had my own issues with money. And then once I was able to figure it out, I was like, oh my God, I got to help other people too. So we're kind of like in the same boat there. And I find that people who really work with others on their money, usually there's a personal reason why. So that's really cool. So for those who may not be familiar with what exactly a certified financial planner does, can you just break it all down for us?
You bet. Yeah. So a certified financial planner, or CFP is the shortcut name for it. You can think of a CFP as your own like personal CFO. But instead of running a company, we help you run your financial life. So just like a CFO would oversee a business, make sure it's in a good strategic position to be healthy in the long term. The same thing would be what a financial planner is doing, but for you personally, right? So helping people figure out how to live well today, but also planning for the future and avoiding any risks and pitfalls along the way. We help on the investment side. On the risk management side, we might look at what can go wrong. So do they have an emergency fund if things happen in life? Do they have life insurance if they pass away too soon? Do they have a will and estate plan in place in case there's people that they leave behind? And so we're looking at kind of the big picture of all the things that touch your financial life for people, and then helping them make a plan to make it more efficient and make it work for them in the long term.
Okay. What are some of the common things that you help your clients with? I know you just touched on them a little bit, but like on a day-to-day basis, what are you in the weeds with your clients on?
Yeah. So I have kind of a couple groups of clients that have similar issues. So one group is kind of the parents in the 30s and 40s, and they are just dealing with a bunch of competing priorities. So they have kids that they're raising. It's expensive to pay for daycare. They're saving for college education for the kids. They might still be paying off their own college at the same time. They're trying to save for retirement. They're trying to do fun things today, go on vacations, or maybe upgrade their house. And so helping them build a plan around what are all these things you're trying to do? How do we prioritize those? And how do we make it that we can accomplish these things eventually? So that's one group that I work with a lot. Another group is those kind of in the retiree space or getting close to retirement. And that space is just complicated because you're going from making money and earning money and saving money to now spending what you've built. And that, for one, is a real mental mind shift, for sure. But then also there's so many logistics, right? So how and when do you file for Social Security? How does Medicare work with your health planning? Where do you pull the money from? Do you pull it from your Roth IRA? Do you pull it from your brokerage account? Do you pull it from your 401k? Do you need to roll your 401k into an IRA? So just like helping them navigate how life looks in that chapter of, okay, now we're spending what we've built, and how do we make sure we're paying attention to taxes and not missing anything along the way?
Okay, that's awesome. So you mentioned something that I come across with my clients. Sometimes it's really hard for people to spend what they've saved or spend what they've built. And I know in retirement, if that concept is something that is not embraced your entire life, when you get to retirement, you're not going to magically be okay with that or comfortable with that. So how do you get your younger clients okay with that? Because even with emergency funds, I like to call them life happens funds. Even with those, you're literally setting aside money for life when it happens so that you're prepared. And I find that a lot of women just don't want to touch that money once it's there, and they would rather use their credit cards or carry their credit card balance month after month. They would rather do that than to actually spend some of their savings. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is mental. So I think a lot of things with money are just emotional and mentally driven anyway.
Yes.
But I think if you've worked really hard to build up a savings balance, I think it is hard to dip into it. You're like, oh, I've been building that for 3 years and now it's finally where I want it. Now I need to replace this water heater and I don't want to do it. So I think that's one side of it. But I think like saying that what that money is for is helpful in that case. So you say, this is what this money is for. It's for when the water heater goes out or when you need to replace the driveway or when you get in a car accident, all the things that go wrong in life. And so just giving people permission to spend, I think, is helpful in a lot of ways. And something else we do with that is not only having the emergency fund, but if there's something that they want to do more of, like vacations, but they're not doing it, like setting aside a bucket that's earmarked for vacations, right? So it's, yes, you're building up this money for vacations, but now that's what you need to spend it on. Let's spend it on those vacations and let's use it for what we wanted to use it for.
Yes. So do you find that even though people earmark and name and say this is what it's for, that they still have trouble sometimes using that money?
Sometimes, yeah, I do. I think if they give it a job, okay, this is the money specifically for vacations, and we said that we value vacations with our family and we want to do this. I think if you bring it back to the value of, well, why did we save this money in the first place? And then we wanted to create experiences with our family or whatever it is. And then, okay, now let's do it. Let's put it into action. And so some of my follow-up with people is making sure they book the flight, making sure they go on the vacation, because that's living well today and enjoying your money now is important too.
Absolutely. I talk about that all the time. I have a philosophy called the do both method, where you build wealth and enjoy life at the same time. Like you do not have to choose. And this is one of the areas that I sometimes have to really coach my clients hard on is, listen, you've got the money. Why are we going into debt if we have the money set aside for things when life goes a little left, things happen that are unplanned? You've already prepared for those things. Why are we going back into debt? So I just wondered if you experienced the same thing too.
Yeah. And I think another thing that I like to remind clients of is that they're in a different place now than they were like when they started with me, right? So maybe that we've been working together for 3 years. And back then the goal was build that emergency fund, save. And that was the main goal and the main thing they were working towards. Maybe now that's not who they are anymore, right? Like they're past that point. And so now the question is, what's possible now? Because now I'm a different person than I was when I started this journey. So recognizing that they're going to change along the way and there's more opportunity to do things with what you've built now. So I think reevaluating every few years, let's look at those goals again. We've already built the emergency fund. How are we going to help you flourish and have a great life now that you're set up to weather those storms?
Awesome. So when should someone consider hiring a certified financial planner? And are there certain milestones or situations where it makes sense? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, great question. I think a lot of people hire financial planners for a couple of reasons. It's either they're going through a transition, like something is different, right? Maybe they're getting a new job, or they're evaluating leaving their job to start a business, or they've added to their family. There's things they're considering, right? So something's changing. And so then they're like, okay, this is above my pay grade. I need someone else to help me look at this. Another reason people come in, it's more like life situations, right? So some people say, they're like, oh, well, I'm 40 now. I guess I have to grow up and meet with a financial planner. So sometimes it's that. I think a lot of people just don't have the time to be thinking about their whole financial picture, and they just want some peace of mind that somebody's looking at it. Because I feel like we go through life and you build different assets, and you might have 401ks in different places and bank accounts in different places. And then you've gotten married and merged your finances. And so you have stuff all over the place. You put some life insurance in place that you're doing a lot of things, but you don't know if you're doing the right things or if you're moving the needle forward. So some people just like a check-in of, okay, am I doing the right things? Have I missed anything? What else do I need to be thinking about? So I don't think there's for sure have a financial planner if XYZ, but yeah, it's a lot of times it's those transitions or just life milestones of getting older and feeling like you need to adult.
Yes, that totally makes sense. So how are CFPs paid, and how are you different from a financial advisor?
Good question. So certified financial planners, you can be paid in a variety of ways. The deal with being a certified financial planner is that you do continuing education every 2 years. So you're keeping up with the new tax laws and things that are going on. So you're kind of like retesting to make sure you know your stuff. And then before you get the CFP designation, you have to take certain classes and you have to pass a test. So the pay structure, it kind of depends on the firm and how they're set up. A lot of CFPs operate in a fee-only manner, which just means that it's a fee that the client pays to the planner. So a lot of times that looks like an hourly rate of, we're working together for this plan. It'll take us this long to do it, or we worked on it for this many hours together. Here's your bill. Sometimes it's more of just like a subscription plan where they pay monthly or quarterly, and then they have you as their personal CFO for as long as they're paying that fee. Some advisors just get paid by managing investment assets, and they take a percentage of the investments that they manage. And then others might do like commission-based products where they sell you an investment, they get paid on that, and then they use that money to kind of give you advice along the way. So it's kind of all across the board. I would say a lot of the certified financial planners are leaning more towards the fee-only side, where it's just like the client always knows what the fee is and where it's coming from and exactly what it is. So,
okay. So is there a difference between a CFP and a financial advisor?
Not necessarily. So a lot of people just use those interchangeably. Certified financial planner just means that you've taken that test and have that accreditation, and you do that continuing education ongoing, and that you're also held to a fiduciary standard where you are supposed to do the best thing for the client. So sometimes in investments, if you sell a certain product and you make a commission, that's in your best interest, maybe not the client's best interest. So as a CFP, you sign off that you are choosing things based on your client's best interest, not your own. And then financial advisor could be anyone. They could be CFPs or they could be insurance salespeople. It kind of depends what the firm is and how they're doing business, but there's not like a way they have to do business based on that word. So.
Got it. Okay. So I see sometimes a lot of people have financial coaches and CFPs, like they have both. And I recommend for sure, especially when someone is ready to start investing and all of that, I totally think that having someone like Jamie on your side is the way to go. For sure. For sure.
Thank you. You hit it on the head with the coaching. The behavioral side is such a big piece of all of it, right? Like the way we handle money and the way we act around money, it's behavioral and emotional. And I think we have to address that piece. So that coaching side is so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because sometimes you'll get this beautiful plan set up for people and they start taking action and then they're like, Jamie, I need to cash something out. And you're like, what's going on here? A lot of times it's because the behavior is still there, whatever behavior, especially if they got like a windfall or an inheritance, right? If they still have those underlying behaviors, all the work that you do could just come unraveled if the behaviors aren't addressed as well. So
exactly. Yeah, you get trapped in a cycle of doing it over and over again.
So you have written numerous books. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk about especially the children's books. And I really think moms can get so much out of this. I will tell you that the character in the book is a puppy named Milton, and he's super cute. And my favorite one is about gratitude. And I just read it not too long ago, and I was like getting lessons from that. It was a good reminder to really pause and to just be grateful for what you have. And I think we know that, but do we really live it? And I love that book. So can you tell us what inspired you to write these books and tell us how we can get them and all of that?
Awesome. Yes. So I have 4 kids of my own, ages 12 to 7. And I actually wrote the first book because I went to the store with my then 5-year-old oldest son. He's 12 now, but he wanted to buy this giant, like, gravedigger remote control car thing. And he's, "We need this, Mom. We need this." And I was like, "That's not in our spending plan today." And he's, "Well, just buy it on Amazon then." And I was like, oh no. Like, I'm a financial planner and my kid thinks that Amazon is this magical service that brings stuff to your doorstep and you don't have to pay for it. And so I was trying to think about, like, how do I explain money to him and teach him money values? And then I realized, like, how hard it is to talk to kids about it now, because a lot of the money that we use is invisible, right? Like, we're using our Apple Pay, we're using debit cards or credit cards, and they just don't see money exchanging hands anymore. Because, like, when I was a kid, it was like you had money in your pocket or you didn't. And that's how you bought stuff that day. And so you actually had to count it out and have it. And it was very tangible. So I looked for different books that were out there for little kids, and I didn't find a lot. I found a lot for kind of the teenager years and things like that, but I wasn't finding very much in the little kid space. And so initially my thought was that I would write like a poem or a rap that was like rhymey and could help him remember things about money, because we like to have dance parties and stuff. And I thought it would be a fun way to teach him and it would stick. And so I started writing this like poem, and it kind of evolved into a story. And I was like, well, I want to make sure I teach these basic concepts. So in the first one, I just wanted to talk about how to earn money, that money's earned by working, how to identify coins and their value, and understand that you can't have everything you want when you want it. So that was like the main concept of the first story. And then I realized I just had a lot of stories to tell with different concepts and basic money things that he should know. And so I ended up writing a series. So there's 5 books in the series currently. I actually have a tax one coming out probably next year, just some basics about taxes for kids. But right now, I have the one about Milton learning about coins and their value and working for money. And then I have one about kind of the give, save, spend concept of you don't have to spend your money every time you get it. There's other things that you can do with it. And here's a good way to think about it. The gratitude book that you mentioned, which gratitude I feel like is really important for money, which you talked about earlier. And I have an activity book that's more like games and things for a little bit older kids, because the books are kind of kindergarten to 2nd grade level. But this activity book is a little harder for the kind of older kids. Mm-hmm. And then I also have a book for grownups called Money Boss Mom, Helping Young Parents Be the Boss of Their Financial Future. So I really and that book's really a compilation of just things that I've learned over the years working with clients and some of the themes that I've found, and just trying to help people kind of cut through all the noise that's out there. And hey, here's what you need to know about investing and life insurance and cash flow management, and just kind of giving them a guideline that they can use and implement immediately.
I've got something for you. If you make good money, but overspending is keeping you stuck in the cycle of credit card debt with little to no savings, you're invited to book a financial clarity consultation with me, yours truly. This is for you if you're ready for real support, not just more free advice that can be found on Google or quick fixes that never really solve the problem. Let's be honest, you know what you should be doing, but you're not doing it. Not because you're undisciplined or bad with money, but because of patterns you were never taught to undo. But that's where I come in. A financial clarity consultation is a private session where we'll look at where you are, where you want to go, and what's standing in the way. And if we both agree that working together is the best next step, I'll tell you how we can move forward inside of my coaching program, the Wealthy Woman's Academy, which is private, one-on-one coaching, just me, you, and your money. And if you're worried that getting your finances in order will mean giving up everything you love, don't. My philosophy is rooted in what I call the do both method. I believe you can build wealth and enjoy your life at the same time. That means yes, you can still vacation and say yes to things that matter. You'll leave this session with more clarity than you've had in a long time, plus real insight on what to do next to solve your money issues for good. If that sounds like what you've been needing, you're invited to go to jermainefoley.com/consult to book your session. That's Jermaine with a G, Foley.com/consult, or simply visit the show notes. Now let's jump back into the episode.
Yes, that's so good. So, you just said something that I think most adults don't really understand the concept of, which is you can't have everything you want when you want it.
Amen.
And the other one was just like every time you get paid, you don't need to go spend it. There's other things you can do with the money. Imagine how different the world would be if we learned these lessons as kids, as second graders. That would just be amazing. So let's just talk about this. You can't have everything you want when you want it. Says who?
Says who? Yeah, I think, an important thing, especially to understand for kids, like the sooner you understand, the better, right? That there's so many decisions you have to make with money, right? Like most of us don't have this unlimited resource of money. We have some of it, and then we can make more of it, but we always have to decide what do we want to spend it on today or in the future. And so making decisions with money is the hard part, right? Because we have to figure out, okay, if I buy this thing, then I'm not going to have enough for this thing. Or if I spend it on this little thing, it's not going to savings for this big thing that I want. So I think if learning that as a kid is really important, and the way I do it with my kids is making them make their own decisions on money. So they earn money, and when we go to the store or if we go on vacation and they bring money with them, I let them pick what they want to buy. And sometimes I have to grit my teeth because it's terrible. But a system I use is once they've bought it, I take note of what it was, or maybe even take a picture of it. And then a week later, I ask them if they're still happy with that purchase. Mm-hmm. And then they might say, what purchase? I don't know what you're talking about. And then if they've forgotten all about it, I'm like, wow, well, you spent $7 on that thing and you don't even know where it's at now. Do you think that was a good purchase? And so then they can kind of reflect on it. Oh, yeah, I guess I won't do that again. But if they bought something that they really enjoy and they're using it and getting a lot of use out of it, then we celebrate, right? We're like, a week later, I'm like, are you still enjoying that? And they're like, yeah, this is great. I use it all the time. And it's like, well, that's what money is for. We're supposed to spend it on things that matter to us and that fit our values. And that's a good purchase. That's a good thing that you've worked hard and saved for. And you should be proud of that. So trying to instill these values early on and make them feel the pain of making the decisions now. So when they're older and the stakes are higher, they don't make a lot of mistakes or buy things that they can't afford.
Yeah, it's such a powerful reflection question. Am I still happy with this purchase now? I'm going to steal it. I'm going to use it for myself because I think it's powerful for kids, but also for adults. How many times do we go into places like TJ Maxx or Marshall's just because we're bored and we walk out and you just forget about the things? And so you don't reinforce or you don't learn from that. It's just we just go on and we continue to do it again. But if you had a reminder in your phone to reflect on the purchase or something that would help you to reflect, then you will learn, oh, actually, no, I'm not enjoying it. I probably shouldn't have bought it. And next time I don't want to do it again.
Yeah. We're all just learning as we go. So we have to help each other along.
Yes, I love it. And then, of course, where can people find your books?
Yeah, so MiltonTheMoneySavvyPup.com has a lot of books and a lot of free resources too, with worksheets and coloring sheets and games that you can play with your kids about money, which can be great in the summertime or great for teachers and daycare providers to use if they like. And then MoneyBossMom.com also has the Money Boss Mom book and a few parent resources. And they're all available on Amazon as well.
Yes. Okay, so I know you mentioned a little bit about Money Boss Mom, but what else is in that book?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I wanted each concept that most parents struggle with or have had issues with that kind of go into all the pieces of the financial plan. And I wanted to make it a guide, but a guide that you don't have to read from front to back. So if some parents are like, okay, we heard we need life insurance. What does this mean? How do we find out how to do it? What do we need? Then they can just read chapter 4 and get what they need on life insurance. if they're struggling with cash flow management and figuring out how to deal with kind of the ever-changing expenses of growing with their family and kids, there's a special chapter on that. So they don't have to read it from front to back. They can just get what they need and move on. Because parents are busy and we're not getting enough sleep. And I just try to make it as easy as possible. But I wanted people to get unstuck. Like, just, a lot of people say they just feel like they're spinning their wheels. And I just wanted to get straight to the point of, here's what you need to know. Here's how to do it. You can get started today.
Yeah. And I hear a lot, I just don't even know where to start. So it's like a reference guide. If you're stuck here, start here and we'll work through it. And I love the fact that you said you don't have to sit and read it from cover to cover, because honestly, nowadays, people are just not doing that. I mean, they're listening to audiobooks, maybe more, and podcasts, but sitting and reading could be tough. So just having something where you could just reference a chapter here or a section there, that's really brilliant, really brilliant. So
thank you. I would say that small things make a big difference. So I feel like people feel frustrated. I can't invest because I don't have enough money. But you do, right? If you have $25 a month you can invest, that's going to build over time and that's going to be something. So don't be discouraged if you feel like a small fry, like you don't have enough to deal with or enough to build wealth with, because it all starts small. And then once you start building it, the money kind of compounds and builds on itself. So then there's a point where the money is doing more work than you are, but you have to get started to get there, right? And so if it is just $25 a month, $50 a month, $100 a month, start there. And then as you get raises or bonuses or life changes, increase it over time as you can. And then eventually there's going to be a big nest egg there that you can work with. So just remember that the small things matter. Small things make a big difference.
absolutely. There's actually a Bible verse that says, do not despise small beginnings. And I like to say JIS, invest something. Just start.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I did a calculation. I did a podcast recently on the skill of investing. And I gave a couple of examples. Like if you start when you're 40, you have nothing saved, and you start investing when you're 40, how much money you could have just in 20 years. But then I did another example and I said, well, if you invest $0 and the market returns 10%, guess what you're going to have at 60? Nothing. So it's just a mind trip, and we just have to stop telling ourselves that we can't afford it, that a little bit won't count, or that we should have started a long time ago. We really should stop telling ourselves so.
Yeah. And there's that kind of proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is now.
Yeah.
And it's the same with investing. Like, it's not too late. Yes, it might have been better if you started 10, 20 years ago, but start today. This is the next best option.
Start today and just get that ball rolling, and the magic of compounding interest will blow your mind. It just will. So
yes, for sure.
So I know everyone knows how to get your books, but how else can people stay in contact with you if they want to learn more about hiring you? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yep. So LinkedIn is a great place to connect. I'm just Jamie Bosse on LinkedIn, and I work at CGN Advisors. So you go to the CGN website. I put a lot of helpful content on Instagram and Facebook under the Money Boss Mom name. So I try to put out just helpful short videos on various topics at least a couple times a week. So you can find me there.
Well, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap things up for today?
I think keep doing what you're doing and believe in yourself. I feel like the money journey is always frustrating and there's lots of ups and downs, but just do the best you can with where you're at today, and then the future will be brighter as long as you're committed to it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jamie, for joining us today. And I will put the links to all of your resources, the books, and your social media handles in the show notes. So if anybody wants to connect, those options are right there. All right. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Wait, before you go, have you checked out my free class? It's all about the steps you need to take if you want to build wealth without going on a strict budget. To sign up, simply go to jermainfoley.com/wealth class. That's Jermaine with a G, foley.com/wealth class. See you in there.